It's been great so far. I've only gotten out into the city a little bit. New Orleans isn't actually really my scene. I don't actually drink or eat fish or enjoy jazz, so it's like I was a little lost in the city. But once the con started, I was like, okay, these are my people, and like I started having fun once the convention started getting going, because I was actually here a day ahead before everything got started. But yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I've actually been to a lot of science fiction and fantasy conventions. I haven't been to that many horror conventions, so I'm getting to meet people for the first time in a lot of cases, whereas I only knew them through email or because I'd published them or whatever. And so it's nice to put names to faces and to meet and talk to new people. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just that. It's just meeting. Just getting to meet people for the first time in the flesh. Where I've only known them through the internet, and yeah, I mean, just that, and I mean, it's pretty cool because I'm one of the guests of honor. So I mean, this is only I've done that once before, and it was like a little small regional convention. So to be guest of honor at World Horror is like really quite an honor. And so I mean, that's just really cool. And I mean, they're treating me really well, and comping me stuff and everything. So I mean, that's nice. It's like getting it makes you feel very fancy. So I didn't do too much gallivanting, as I was saying, since I don't even drink or anything. I came here on Wednesday, and I was with my buddy, my college roommate, actually, because he lives over in Biloxi, and so he does drink. So at least I did go out a little bit, and so but not too much. And I'm such a huge nerd. Like I watch the show Bar Rescue, and I actually watch a lot of reality shows. But Bar Rescue did a bar rescue on one of the bars in the French Quarter here on Bourbon Street, and so it's called Spirits on Bourbon, right? And so that's what it's called now. It used to be called something else, but I remembered the show, and so I was like, oh, I should go there. And so we went and we ate dinner there. So I mean, it was okay. It's like I think it still needs a little bit more rescuing at this point, but so we did that, and we went around to some of the voodoo shops and stuff, because my wife actually gave me she said that she wanted me to bring her back something creepy, and just sort of vaguely bring me back something creepy. So I was like, oh, so I looked around. I didn't really see anything at the voodoo shops that I went to. It seemed very touristy stuff. I wanted something authentically creepy, right? And so thus far, I'm sorry to say the creepiest thing I found was this apron that had like a pair of breasts on it. And so I took a picture of my buddy wearing it, and I sent it to my wife. I'm like, I'm sorry, but so far this is the creepiest thing I found. And so she wrote back in all caps, wrong kind of creepy. So yeah, it's my first World Horror Convention. I actually thought that it was my first horror convention, but actually I did go to the zombie convention once before, which is actually where I met my co-publishers for Nightmare Magazine. They run Creeping Hemlock Press, and so I met them at this zombie convention when my anthology The Living Dead came out. So it was called Zombie Fest, and it was up in Pittsburgh, which is where they filmed Dawn of the Dead, and actually I think all of Romero's movies, but it was actually in the mall where they filmed Dawn of the Dead. So it was like the same exact place, and so it's just like this zombie weekend, and so I met some people there, and I met my co-publishers of Nightmare there. But yeah, this is my first World Horror. I almost went a couple different times, but I never actually managed to do it. Like, it was in New York one year when I was living in New Jersey, and I was this close to going because I had a bunch of friends that were going, but I didn't actually get to go. And then last year I thought about going when it was in Salt Lake City, and I didn't quite go. So this is my first time. It's really just Nightmare. Nightmare's my new horror magazine. We launched back in October of last year, and so we're just we haven't even been around for a year yet, but it's a new horror magazine. We publish original stories. We publish some reprints as well. Yeah, our first issue, we had a new Laird Barron story, a new Jonathan Mayberry story, and we published an original Ramsey Campbell, and a bunch of other great stuff. Otherwise, yeah, I don't really have anything new coming out. I mean, in February this year, I had 2 books come out. I had The Mad Scientist Guide to World Domination and Oz Reimagined. So the Mad Scientist one more along the horror vein than the Oz one. Although there's actually some horrific type stuff in the Oz book too. So the most recent thing I'm wrapping up is I just finished up work on this anthology called Dead Man's Hand, which is although the title might imply it's something horrific, it's actually a weird Western anthology, because Dead Man's Hand refers to the hand the hand of cards that Wild Bill Hickok was holding when he was assassinated, and so it's a weird Western anthology, and I just finished that up, and I turned it into the publisher right before the convention. The crowdsourcing revolution is actually. yeah, possibly even better for anthologies than ebooks, just because it's a way to really test the market and see how much interest there is in something. So, for instance, like when we did Nightmare, like we didn't really do it like as a traditional Kickstarter. We did it almost exclusively as a pre-order system, and that's something that you can do with that kind of thing. Is like you can come up with the concept and recruit the authors, and then you can go do something like Kickstarter. So it's like if there's enough interest to warrant doing the book, then you can raise the funds that way to pay for it, and then do it. And if there isn't, then you know, oh well, maybe this wasn't such a great idea to begin with. But just ebooks too, it just makes it a lot easier too, because there's a much lower level of a commitment to publishing a book, because it doesn't cost as much to publish an ebook as it does to just do a whole print run and get those out into the world and everything. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a different model, but it's not going to. I don't think it's going to replace the traditional model anytime soon. But it is a way to another avenue to pursue. Yeah, I haven't been involved with the Horror Writers Association that much, but for everything that I've heard about it is just been that, yeah, they're really supportive of writers. It's really great to, as you're just getting started, they have a lot of useful articles to help you along the way when you're just sort of learning the ropes. And I'm more familiar with the Science Fiction Writers of America, which is sort of the science fiction version of HWA, and it's sort of the same thing. They're kind of like this very similar organizations, so I mean, I think HWA is something to look into if you're just getting into writing horror, and just as far as what I would say to writers is just you have to be persistent, and you have to shoot for the stars, so it's like don't think that just because you're just getting started you should only write stories for like little tiny markets that don't pay anything, or that maybe they're not appealing to you in other ways, but you just think, oh well, that's the beginning level markets, I should submit there. No, you start at the top and then work your way down, and only submit stories where you'd be actually proud to have your story appear. I think a lot of people lose sight of that fact, and they get just in the excitement to get published, and then like they look back and they're maybe disappointed where they ended up publishing their story, and then it's too late to sell it the first time somewhere else. So yeah, and I mean, Nightmare is actually where we're opening the submissions again soon, and so you should send me all of your horror stories first, because I'm the best. But no, I mean, obviously I want to see everyone's stories first, but yeah.